Well, hey there YouTube, it's Hair BMW, back after a bit of a gap away. Had a couple of little health issues, nothing serious we hope as it turns out, but been almost a month with really not doing very much. So today's a day to get back to it. It's kind of a rainy, damp day here in eastern North Carolina, but that's alright. The last project I had done, I did post, as you can see, the blackout on my front grills. Not entirely happy with the way it turned out, but by and large I am. So that'll be another little fix-it-up project later. So today what we've got is a big old box that's come from Turner Motorsport. I've ordered from them before once and was very happy. So the project this time was one where part of the reason, I mean, their price was good, but what I really liked was the way they have set up their deal. Because what I'm going to show you when you get in here is you can see it pretty quick. It's oil change, but the way they do it is they have a whole package pretty much already set up, and then you just pick the parts of the package that you want, more or less, and that controls the price of what you get. So what we've got here is 7 quarts of BMW oil. I know there's lots of other brands that are acceptable, but you can't go wrong using the BMW oil. And then my old nemesis, yeah, it's brake fluid. It's in there. So we're going to get back to the brake fluid job, changing the brake fluid out. For those of you who've seen some of my other videos, I elaborated quite a lot about the deal I got into trying to do my brake fluid one day. So, and then we've got the oil filter, which is pretty straightforward. Nothing new and exciting there. And never have enough tools. So this is the oil filter housing wrench, or adapter. I had one for my Z3, but it's a completely different housing. So had to go to this one. So it's okay. Gotta have tools, right? That's the fun part, is having the tools. Alright, so I think we're getting down to the end. So there's my air filter. Luft filter. So that's the intake filter. The cabin filter is actually in good shape, and for right now, I opted out of changing that. So that's the plan for this weekend. It's going to be an oil change, and I'll see if I get to doing the bleeding the brakes and replacing the brake fluid in my 06 E90 330i. If you haven't checked out my channel, it's Hair BMW on YouTube. Also got some videos on E39 source. Car is not looking too good today. Like I said, we've had a lot of rain and dust and dirt, and but I have to say, doing the blackout on the front was just a spur of the moment whim kind of thing, and I'm really liking it. So one of the projects I've realized that I've got to do at some point is replace all of the rubbers that go around all the windows. They're all in pretty bad shape. As I've mentioned before, the car's been repainted, and you can see this one is actually broken right there. And so, you know, I've been wondering about, you know, this chrome is water spotted, and I've not been able to get it clean. And I've never been very good at determining what's plastic and what's metal and stainless and yada 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 yada. So now that I've had such what I think is good luck with doing, because these pieces, if you're not familiar, this eyebrow piece here and all of this around here and then the fronts of each of these was chrome, and it's plastic, chrome plated plastic. So, you know, I just took all the bits apart and sanded them, and then I used Duplicolor adhesion promoter, and then Duplicolor plastic, it's actually vinyl and plastic dye, and it turned out really well. The only thing, when I said before that I wasn't, you know, entirely happy, this is more of a satin finish on these pieces, and I think what I might do is one day, if I decide to, is take it back off, sand it lightly again, and then just put a gloss, clear coat over top. That's a wheel. That is the clear coat that's made for wheels, which I guess they consider that to be a chrome or a matte finish. So it's okay, you know, it looks good, and quite frankly, even my wife walked by and said, I like that better. So, yeah, that's good news. So that's about it. Already at 6.5 minutes, which is typical for me. I just yammer on. So I'll pick this up again this weekend, and we'll actually do the oil and filter change, and we'll see about doing the brakes, because part of the brakes is doing the hubs, and I've got paint to do all the calipers, and, you know, pretty big involved process. Give me a chance to take all the wheels off, detail them really good. I'm going to have them finished, I think, at some point, but they're really not that bad, so it's probably not going to happen anytime soon. So that's about it. YouTube, thanks for watching. Check out my other videos. Please subscribe to the channel. I'm up over 20 subscribers now, so I'm flying high. I'm feeling really super about that. And I do get some comments, and I have a fellow who I've been conversing with who's in Norway, and I think that's just amazing. He's got a diesel, and we've been going back and forth a little bit about, you know, ultimately what I'd like to have is I'd really like a touring 5 Series, like an E39, 528, 540 touring, something like that. And then someday, if I ever buy a brand new car, I would absolutely try and get a diesel. Talk to enough people that have the new ones, and, you know, they're just amazing cars. So I think that's pretty cool. Nevertheless, that's enough yammering for now. I'll talk to you all this weekend when we get doing the oil change. All right, bye. Good morning, YouTube. It's BMW. It's a beautiful Saturday morning, a little cloudy and overcast, but it's beautifully cool. And today's project is going to be doing oil change, oil and filter change, air filter. So you can see I got my my newest toy here, which is the new wrench remover for the oil filter. Got the whole kit, big O-ring, the little green O-ring down in there, and the new copper washer, funnel, 7 quarts of BMW oil. Got the air filter, torque wrench. This in this case, it's a 22 millimeter, which is for this, and this is the first oil change I've done, so I'm not entirely sure what the drain plug size is, but I'll get that when I get under there. And the torque for the oil pan nut is also 18 foot-pounds, so that's all set. Of course, I've got my Bentley here, which has got all of my torque specs in it. Very important for me. And for those of you who haven't seen my earlier episodes on my Z3, what I found with my ramps and my concrete garage floor was that because these cars are so low, as you would try and drive up on here, the whole ramp would try and sort of skid across the floor. And I came up with what I think is a pretty neat solution. This is a roll of sort of a cushiony stuff that I believe is used for lining drawers, like kitchen cabinet drawers and things. And what I found is that the tire gets on here, gets to here, and that stuff keeps this from moving. I've had no problem. So it's kind of a neat little trick. So today's project is going to be on my '06 E90 330i. I do have to say, one of the last couple of videos I did was where I had blacked out the front grills, and I did it just on a whim. But the more I see it, the more I like it. So glad about that. And so it's a beautiful day. It is like I said, it's a little overcast, but that's okay. And if it stays this way, plan was to wash and detail the car tomorrow after I had it in the garage. But if it stays nice this afternoon, I might do it this afternoon. Usually by this time of day, because the sun comes out of the east, and you can see it's up there. I don't want to tilt it up, but by this time of the morning, it's already very hot. If any of you watch John Kerry 1963 Jag, he's got the problem in the afternoon with the western sun in his garage, which for us is out there on the river. But you can see I only have that door there, so I don't get affected by that incredible hot in the afternoon. I get it mostly in the morning, which is a little bit harder for me because that's typically when I like to be in the garages in the morning. So my little tale of woe. Nevertheless, I got my ramps set. I'm going to drive in, get up on them, and I'll get back to you. All right. Okay, YouTube fans, it's Hair BMW back. So I got the car up on the ramps, and I'm going to turn this fan off. Just extra background noise. So car's up on the ramps. Having gone to breakfast early this morning, it took some time for it to cool down. This motor runs pretty warm, and being black, it just takes a little time. So I've opened up the oil filler to allow it to breathe, and got my 22 millimeter socket and my handy dandy, now stuck on there pretty good, tool. Goodness, it's the first I used it. That's interesting. It's the first time I've ever used it. It seemed kind of loose when I put it on there. Well, we'll figure that out as we go along. But anyway, it doesn't take much to get it loose. And I've got my extra gallon container down here I saved from old oil jobs so that I can carry it to be recycled. And then here I've got my oil change pan, and once this comes out, I'll just dump it all right in there until I can figure out what's going on, why that's being so hard. Yeah, there's no question it was time for an oil change. I've mentioned before that when you buy a car, you don't know, you don't have any idea. The computer in here said that I had 15,000 more miles to go before the oil change, which A, is insane for me, and B, would imply that they had changed the oil. And I just don't ever buy that. So we're in good shape up here. Now I'm going to go down underneath, and I did figure out that the drain plug is a 17 millimeter, which is what I thought it would be. It's what my Z3 was. So I'm not going to bother showing you the oil draining out. There's a 1,000 oil change videos out there already, but I figured 1001 won't make a difference. So I'm going to go under there and change the oil, drain the oil, and then when I come back up topside, I'll turn you all back on. Thanks. Okay, folks, one of the interesting things that I just realized, again in the vein of not knowing what you get when you buy a car, is this is the washer that was under the drain plug, and it is completely wrong. It's too small, it's way too thin. While this is not the copper one that you're supposed to use, it is the same size and thickness, and very apparent that these are not even close to being the same. The other interesting thing is the bottom, under the head of that bolt that goes in, there's like a chamfer, and it actually deformed this when it went in, so it was, I don't think it was sealing properly. I have a little bit of oil residue under the car which I've not been able to track down. I would not be surprised if it was coming from here. I've cleaned up everything the best I can under there, and I'll wait and see. One of the projects that's on my list is to replace the entire under tray under the car. The little door that's supposed to cover where the oil drain plug is missing. There's supposed to be another shield behind that that's called the transmission cover shield. It's not on the car. The one that's under there, just with time and curves and everything else, is pretty chewed up and in bad shape. So that's on my list of things to do. And I'm not sure, it's oil that's under the car. This car has had a new, I think it's a valve cover gasket replaced. There was quite a lot of old caked on oily greasy residue on the engine, you know, down where you didn't necessarily see it on the top, that I cleaned up quite a lot. So you know, there's a couple of things that could be going on. A lot of what's under could still be left from what was clearly a problem before that gasket was replaced. So I don't really know. In any event, we're going to move on now. Sorry about all the mess, but we're renovating our house right now, and I'm consigned to the garage with all of our worldly possessions crammed everywhere as the work is being done. So there's two operations that need to take place. There's the small seal that goes here, and then there's the larger one that goes back here. And everybody has their favorite tool for doing this. A friend of mine actually just takes a knife and cuts his, pops them off. Nothing wrong with that. I just have my little handy dandy Craftsman pick that I've always used, and for me it works. So you do have to be careful, because more than one time I've put this pick right in the end of my finger and haven't learned anything from it. So there you go. Well, that one broke. That's black, and all of the ones that I have and I have ever gotten have been green. So again, there's literally no telling who did this oil change or how it was done or anything else. So, and there's a little bit of oil left in the housing, and just like any filter, you want to just sort of put a little bit of a coating on there to keep it lubed up and get it to slide on nice and easily. And you do have to be careful with these, that you get them down into the right groove. I've heard, I've not seen, but I've heard people that didn't, and when they put their cap back on, they thought it was tight, and boy, they had a mess. So pretty straightforward. It should be a little bit larger than what it feels like it needs to be, but it seats right in. And I can tell you right now that this oil was horrendous. I don't know if it was synthetic. I don't know how long it's been in there, but it needed to be changed badly. So none too soon. So the other thing of interest, and I might yet open the box back up and show y'all, the filter that I took out was all deformed, and I've not seen that before in my cars, hopefully because I try and keep them better than this one was kept, but I'm not sure if that's just from age or from being clogged. I don't know, but we should be in good shape now. I am going to, there's different schools of thought about whether you put this in the housing and then put the housing over it, or put it in this way. I shouldn't say schools of thought. A friend of mine who's got a Z3 exactly like I had, he and I do it differently. I feel like putting it in this way ensures that it's sealed. I can feel it. You heard it snap in. So there you have it. I don't know. Oh, there it goes. Yeah. So the next step is going to be putting the filter in, tightening that up to 18 foot-pounds, and then adding 6.9 quarts of oil. And again, for those of you who don't know or whatever, this car with the iDrive has no dipstick. You have to measure the oil through the iDrive, and there's a couple of different ways you can do that. So my plan is to put about 6.5-ish quarts in and drive it for a while, and then use the iDrive after it's been driven and whatnot to tell me where the oil level is, because I don't want to put too much in, and until you get used to your car, you're never quite sure how much comes out. The car was registered as full of oil. I did put 1 quart in since I've owned it, but I don't want to overfill it. So I think 6.5. I don't know of any engine that's ever held a half a quart of oil, but I don't want to take any chances. So that's the next step. So I'm going to move things around, kind of get reset up, and then we'll pick it back up. Okay, YouTube fans, it's our BMW, and we're about to put the oil filter back in my 06 E90 330i. For those of you who may not know, that means it's a 3 series 3 liter E92, E90, I'm sorry, E90. And I've learned over the years to really be careful when you're putting these back on, because they have a certain amount of resistance, and you don't want to confuse a certain amount of resistance with being cross-threaded. Ruin your day, I'm sure. Not happened to me, not on you, but truly ruin your day. Okay, that's hand tight. Torque wrench, 18 foot-pounds. There you go. It's not a lot. I mean, you really could have done that by hand. Not entirely sure why that sticks like that, but so next thing we're going to do is add the oil. This is 5W30 BMW oil. I know somebody else makes it, and you can buy the other brand, and it might be a little less expensive. BMW label on it works for me. And I covered when I did my unpacking. I bought this from Turner Motorsports, and they have a really cool package that basically it's everything you would need. All your cabin air filter, your intake air filter, oil, brake fluid, fuel filter. They've got the whole thing set up. But it doesn't, it's got a range of prices on it like you would expect. But what you do is you go down and check the bits and pieces of it that you want. And it saves you, once you've entered your car, it makes sure that you're getting pieces that fit your car. So I got the fuel, I got the oil filter, which you've seen, the oil, the air filter for the intake, and I got a canister of brake fluid because I need to work on my brake job, and that specialty tool for taking this off. And the whole thing, including shipping, was $144, I think. I shopped around, and lately I've been buying an awful lot of my stuff from BMW of South Atlanta. The prices are fantastic, but there are certain things they don't cover or don't carry, and the oil and filters are one of them. And I when possible, I would rather just do one order and get it shipped and get it here, rather than have to do 2 or 3 or 4 different orders. And I find the same thing is true with Bavarian Autosport, Auto House AZ. They don't always carry the BMW oil. They have the other brands, which the one that I have down there is that I used the last oil change I did on my Z3. It was a total quartz Ineo MC3 that I'd gotten from Auto House. I think it was kind of a package deal or special that they had going. And yeah, nothing wrong with it. I'm absolutely confident that the quality of the oil is the same no matter what, but you get to make a choice, and that was the choice I made. So been doing a lot of research on the cars. I typically do, and one of the things that I'm going to investigate here before long is whether I have the plastic radiator thermostat and pulleys on the front of the engine. If I do, I'm certainly going to look at replacing those. I had done that with my Z3 when I first bought it. That was one of the things I had read, is that that car was right literally on the cusp of the month in which they made the changeover on the water pump from the plastic impellers to the metal impellers. And from the outside, there's no way to tell. So while I was going to have to take the radiator out to get to the front of the motor to do the oil or the water pump, I decided to do all the tensioners, all new belts, the whole front of the engine, flush the radiator. And in hindsight, it turns out that the car I had the metal impeller in it. So I've still got a perfectly good Z3 water pump that I've just never done anything with. A friend of mine's got the exact same car and kind of just held on to it thinking someday he might need it. But I guess I can put it on eBay or just, I don't want to throw it away. It's perfectly good. So if anybody had a need for it, I'd certainly be willing to talk to them. But I need to be thinking along the same lines with this motor. It's kind of one step at a time, and it's coming along. really have been surprised at how good the blacked out kidney grills and pieces up there look. I had just done it on a weekend on a whim, because the chrome was starting to bubble just ever so slightly, and so I decided, what the heck, and I did it, and man, it looked so much better. I'm not particularly a fan of necessarily blacked out cars. Not that they don't look good, but it's, I would have said until now, it's just really not my style. The black wheels and the black trim and the blacked out windows and everything. Some of them look pretty sinister, and that's just, again, that's not kind of the look that I'm after. But it is what it is. Okay, so this is going to be 6, so I'm going to put this one in about half of the last one, and then we're just going to see what happens. I do have to say that when in my oil change video for my Z3, where I used that 5-quart jug, or big gallon jug, or whatever it's technically, it was a real pain in the butt with the way they got the airflow working when you tried to pour it out, because it was plugged. It showed up on the video too. So anyway, so I'm going to put about half of this one in, and then I always carry one in the trunk. So I'll check it in another day or so. I don't really know that I'll be going anywhere today, but 500. So that should do it. So didn't make any mess. That's a good thing. Ourselves cleaned up here. For some reason that cap's on backwards. I suspect again when they had done the top of this motor with that new gasket, they just put it on now. BMW faces that way. Anyway, so the next task is going to be doing the air filter. So I'm going to get some tools and things together for that, and clean up a little, and I will get back to you. All right, YouTube fans, the air box is held in by 2 bolts over here, and this is rubber mounted for vibration, and then there's one connection right here which breaks away this part. Then the whole box will come out, and then you got screws all the way around. It's not particularly user friendly as far as getting an out to change your filter. You really have to make a point of it. So that just is what it is. And these are, by the way, I don't have my glasses on. Good mess, I'm blind. 10 millimeters. So 2 of those. Now you do have a long filter in here for the cabin. It's in good shape, so we're not going to be fooling around with that today. And you also have, ooh boy, down inside here, the mass airflow sensor. So that's another connection which I'm not going to be able to show you how to get down in there. I just don't have enough light in here, and my little iPhone it just isn't up to running that. But we'll get this connection here loose. It's just got little tabs. This is sort of a rubberized plastic cup, pops right off. Slides back out of the way. So what I need to do is there's a band clamp, I guess is what it's called, which has got both a flathead and a socket type head on it. So I don't think I have a socket handy that's small enough, so I'll just get a flathead screwdriver and we'll pop that duct off and then pull this out. One of my projects recently was to rework all of my toolboxes. I had the opportunity and I took the opportunity, and now I have to keep opening drawers to figure out where I've put stuff. I just haven't gotten used to where it all goes yet, so that's all right, it'll come. The other thing that you have to concern yourself with down here is that clamp, that little plastic clamp. I'm not sure if it's broken or if it's just not working. I covered that when I did this, replaced this bracket for the power steering reservoir, because this is also rubber mounted, and well, YouTube fans, it's Hair BMW back, and as happens when you're using your iPhone to film, ran out of video, but it doesn't tell you space, but it doesn't tell you that. So where I left off as I was talking about the little power steering reservoir issue, after that I managed to get out the box. So it's two pieces essentially, and here is your mass airflow sensor electrical connector, and this is your hose. It goes in this orientation. This is the permanent filter that you don't change. This is the half that you do change. Or rather, this is where the new filter goes in. And this was really, even though I had detailed this before, it's really had a lot of road grime and grease on it. And I'm not entirely sure why that is. You know, there's issues in here that I just haven't fully explored yet. But one of the things that I did notice is this socket, when this sits in place like this, there's supposed to be a rubber ball right there, and it's not there. And it's interesting that it must not have been there before, and I didn't notice it, and that's a little troubling to me. But in any event, yeah, that's just interesting. I not the kind of thing I would normally have missed, so I'm not sure. It's entirely possible that it's just come and gone since then. Nevertheless, I'm going to put our new filter in. And this is a OEM filter. The one that came out was clearly marked China. It doesn't mean it wasn't any good, but I will show you. You know, they don't necessarily jump out at you as being dirty, but you can see the difference, and sometimes it matters how you turn it, because it didn't look that bad when I took it out, and then you look at this and you can see that it, you know, not the worst looking filter I've ever seen in my life, but you know, not the best either. So this is a pretty straightforward operation to reinstall. And what I had mentioned earlier that didn't make it was that this box is held together with T25, Torx 25 fasteners. They're not Phillips heads. And there's 2, 4, 6 of them. And the only way to make this filter change is to take this whole box out, which again does seem a little bit odd, but essentially this is a pre-filter, and this is, my understanding is it's sort of a charcoal carbonized filter that you can replace this whole piece, but you've taken 99% of the big pieces out with this, and this is just doing the last filtering, so it's really a good system. So these two halves will just go back together. And a word of caution, you have to be incredibly careful with this. The mass airflow is very, very, very expensive. So, and do, pay attention when you're putting this back together that the filter's seating in there nicely. Not a tight fit, but it just it needs to seal in there. So and there is no to the best of my knowledge, there is no torque spec on these, and quite frankly, there really doesn't need to be. Where this screw goes through, there's a little extra piece at the bottom, and you can, when this piece touches up tight, and you just give it a little bit of a cinch. I mean, that's all it needs to be. I'm kind of a fanatic about doing torques, because engineers are smart people, and if they say it needs to be a certain thing, it needs to be that for a good reason, and it's not up to me to decide what is and isn't a good reason. So that's just sort of my worldview when it comes to torque specs and things. And these two connections up here, which mount right here, are rubber, so it allows this whole thing to sort of jiggle and shake, and it's a bit of a kerfuffle to get it back down in here around all the other bits and pieces, and you have to be a little careful because you do have to make sure not damage the mass airflow connection, and get this, not only get this rear duct that goes into the engine hooked up, but you've got to keep your hose clamp at the top to where you can get to it and sort of feed it all back in together as it goes in. So, typical in a pretty small engine compartment is you just got a lot going on, and you just have to kind of keep fiddling with it until you get everything back in. So this is back together here, and I'm going to plug in the mass airflow sensor so it gets it out of the way, and make sure that little tab goes in and clicks down, because you don't want that to work out. To me, it doesn't look like it's quite clicked down, but I will come back to that in just a minute. But right now, I need to get this duct hooked up back in place. What was that? So there's another fastener that's just broken. That's the thing about, this car has not got a lot of miles on it. It's 90, not quite 96,000 miles on it yet. But there's a, and I had mentioned earlier, and I'm not sure if it made it in the video, and I'll bring the camera over here and do a close-up on it, but you know, the stuff, as the plastic ages and gets brittle, it just, you start fiddling with it and it just pops off. You know, I'm not abusing anything in here, but you move it out of the way, and next thing you know, it's breaking. So it's unfortunate. I'm not sure why this is wanting to be so resistive. I'm going to need to get my flashlight and make sure it's on at the bottom. A little difficult to tell. The duct is on like this rather than this. I think it's, there it is. There it is. That's got it. Okay. So now it's just a matter of tightening up the hose clamp. And someone had told me that I'm using the wrong terminology. They're really not hose clamps, but I don't know what else to call it, and I don't remember what he told me it was called technically. So there you have it. Again, not too tight there. So the hose clamp is done. Mass airflow connection's back on. The front connection is snapped into place. So now it's just these two 10mm fasteners that go back here. And that should wrap up this little project. There it is. And again, I did not find a torque spec for these in my Bentley. If I missed it and someone knows what it is, please let me know. I'll write it in my book so that I have it for the next time. And tonight I'll try and update my spreadsheets for the maintenance that I've done today. There we go. Just tight. And that'll do that. So I will show you a little bit of what I was going on about. This, as I was jerking this around, the little nub that's supposed to be on the bottom of this plastic fastener that goes through that hole apparently just popped off. I just heard it ping, and then that was loose. And this is the one that I was referring to a little earlier. And there's sort of a two-part. There's this collar piece which goes around your pipe, and then the receiver that sits down there in the bottom. And it's supposed to just snap in, and it doesn't. So I believe it's the bottom fastener part that's supposed to have little barbs on it. I think they're just broken off. So anyway, that about wraps up the oil change on the 06 330i. It's Hair BMW. So anyway, there's the remnants of the weekend. Filter, the box, oil jugs, dirty oils in there. I haven't yet cleaned up my oil pan. I'll clean that up good and stow it, put it away. And there's all my tools. Not very neat and organized right now, but they're clean and they're all ready to go back in the balance of my oil. So there you go. Another project done. We'll see what happens. I did check around, nose around, and it turns out that the housing is way down there for the thermostat, and it's a huge, big deal. And quite frankly, I covered in one of my earlier videos that the problem that I have is I can't get a jack under the back of the car to get it up high enough to get it on jack stands because the car is just so low. So I'm in the planning stages of I'm going to buy some 2x12s and nail them together and taper the ends and get the whole car up about 6 or 8 inches so that I can then get the floor jack under there to put it up on jack stands. But and I'm probably going to wait to do the brake job on my wheel project and all that until I accomplish that. So yeah, it's just one of those things. I've got everything I need now to do the brakes, to do the brake job again, and I just need to get some of the mechanical issues of getting the car raised up taken care of. So that's it, folks. It's Hair BMW on a overcast but very cool and breezy for Eastern North Carolina day. It's really beautiful day today as far as you know, being out on the river. The sailing's probably good. We're just a few miles from Oriental, North Carolina, which is known as the sailing capital of the East, and with this nice cool breeze and a little overcast like that, I suspect it's a beautiful day to be out on the river. It's a beautiful day to be living on the river, I can tell you that much. So that's about it. I'm going to call it an end right there and see about editing this stuff together, and I might even get it up today. So thanks for watching. I hope you'll subscribe to my channel. The last time I looked, I had 22 or 23 subscribers, which is incredible. I'm thrilled about that. I conversed with a couple of you. Kristen in Norway. We've talked some back and forth, and just found another channel that I was really liking. Guy that works on Alfa Romeos out in Tacoma, Washington. Got a bunch of good videos, long videos, which I like. A lot of people just like them 6 minutes, but I think you'll learn a whole lot more when you you see the whole process. That's why mine are always long. I try and make them short. Sometimes it doesn't work, and you know, maybe I just like to gab on and gab on. But anyway, I have fun doing it, and I'm thrilled that there are at least 22 people out there who have subscribed to my stuff, and I've had 300 or so views, I think, if I remember right. I don't know. I think I have it up here. No, 3,101 views. So there you go. That's me, Hair BMW. And you can see I've got, well, it doesn't really want to focus, but it's 23 subscribers, 3,101 views. So, yeah, this has been a lot of fun for me. I have enjoyed this to no end. There's the ugly mug right there. So, there you go. Hope you all have a great day. Get to you later. Bye.